Hello and welcome to our special series, the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories, an initiative by ETH. I am Ashwini Mishra, and as part of this initiative, we bring to you conversations with CXOs over a cup of chai as we speak about their personal and professional lives, hobbies, and various other engaging topics. And joining me today is a special guest, pianist and vocalist Anand Narayanan, who in his full-time role is the Chief Product Officer at Simply Learn, the world's #1 online boot camp for digital economy skills training. Welcome, Anand.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ashwini. Thank you.
Anand, you moved from Germany to India at an early age. Can you take us through your childhood and share your early memories?
Sure, Ashwini. I'm not sure you're ready for the story I'm going to tell you, but here goes. So as you said, I was born in Germany in a very small town called Gustavsburg. And I was there, I completed my first grade in Germany. And very early in my life, I saw what discipline in everyday life looked like. And it was just a norm in Germany, right? You're on time, you do things punctually, and you just do things in a very systematic way. And I remember once I was 1 minute late to school and the gate had shut and I couldn't go in, right? It was an interesting learning for me very early in my childhood. But my father, at some point decided that, the city life was, not enough for him. And he had decided that he wanted to move back to India. And so when I was in my first grade, we moved back to India in a very small town called Palakkad in Kerala. We lived in the middle of cows and dogs and buffaloes and just nature, right? It was a farm. We lived in a farm. There were rivers next to our house and just an amazing place to live. But there were a couple of things that I'll just call out that, really came into sort of my viewpoint at that point of time, right? The number one, my father had just given it all up and come to a little farm to do what he really treasured. And whether I know it or not, today when I look at it, right, my sort of balance towards what I do in my life has come from that you've got to do what you really are passionate about and not just go after the title or the role or something, which looks great on paper, but you're not having fun doing. So money not critical, happiness is, and that's something my father taught me with that one big action already. The other thing that, it forced me to do is live a very simple life. The other thing that happened is I had to walk half a kilometer twice a day to get to the public bus. Then I had to take one bus to the town and then take another bus to the school. And I had to cover about 24 kilometers to go that distance. And 24 kilometers seems very small until you realize it's a 1 hour commute for me one way, right?
True.
So it took me 2 hours a day just to go and come back from school. And, the other thing that came out of that experience was I just had to work harder because I lost 2 hours every day. No matter what I did, I couldn't avoid that, right? And so I had to go extremely intense in whatever I did.
Intense hard work and time management,
And time management, absolutely. The German bringing up did help because I was used to sort of very systematic approaches to doing things. I'll tell you the other thing that I learned in that time frame is during my summer holidays, I didn't have any friends, right? I literally was alone in the middle of nowhere. And so we had 2 months to do whatever we wanted. And there's only so much mango tree climbing and playing with dogs you can do, right? So I used to pick one hobby every summer. And this is not because my parents told me to do it, right? For example, I picked chess one summer. And for 60 days straight, I read 10 different chess books to learn, the advanced techniques of chess. And it was an intense, obsession. Then the next time I took keyboards and synthesizer and I learned how to do chords on my own. I figured it all from scratch in some sense, right? So, I learned sort of what I consider intense learning of topics, which I still continue to this day, right? You take 30, 40 days and go extremely deep on some topic. And to this day, I have never learned piano, right? I've never actually formally learned it. I'm a self-taught pianist.
Right. You were introduced to music quite early in your life. In a way, you took that on you to learn the synthesizer. And
Absolutely. And I think music was around us all the time because my family was generally always interested in music. The other thing that during that period of time that I really learned that has stayed with me in my life, the kids I used to interact with there were actually from a very poor background. And I didn't realize it that, we actually were okay. We had a farm, we owned the farm. So the kids who used to play with me were sort of what I consider the folks who used to work on a farm, right? And, it taught me one very important lesson, which I keep today as well. It's to treat human beings well, no matter where they come from and how they are situated or whatever it might, because I have actually, spent most of my life with what I consider economically backward kids in my childhood. And that lesson has stayed with me as well, right?
How did you choose your career? And then how did you move towards your choosing your career goals?
Yeah, and actually, I'm actually in an example of a kid where my parents gave me full, freedom to do whatever I wanted. But in my case, what happened is, computers started becoming sort of available somewhere when I was in eighth grade or so, right? More freely available, if you may, right? So my mom bought us our first personal computer, X386, if I'm not wrong. I think a lot of people won't even understand what that is at this point of time. And I
Right.
spent, again, every summer I spent hours on that thing, and not just playing games, right? I used to actually try to break down DOS commands and Windows commands and go behind and figure out how does this operating system really work, and just I spent a lot of time on the computer, if you may. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with the whole concept of becoming a computer science engineer, if you may.
Right.
And so from small town Palakkad, right, I wrote the entrance examinations, got through a university called NIT now. At the time, it was called Karnataka Regional Engineering College. Now it's NIT, National Institute of Technology. And, I joined there in the computer science department. Again, this is the truth, right? A lot of people go into college with a lot of confidence. I was not one of those kids, right? I was one of the kids that came in and said, look, I come from the smallest town in India. How do I fit in with these really smart kids who really know what they're doing, right? And it was somewhere in third year, fourth year is where I kind of found my feet and started believing that, okay, I do belong to this college, right? And I'm not a misfit here and things like that. There was a time in my summer holidays, again, I created a whole AI-driven computer chess program out of just interest. And, long story short, me and my friends built this program and it got a national award. And once I finished my college, the choice was to continue working in India or to go to the US for my higher studies. And I did get into Texas Instruments in India, but I decided finally to go to India, to the US. And I went to Texas A&M, did my computer
US.
science degree there. Of course, I joined as a software engineer at National Instruments. NI, by the way, is one of the top 50 places to work for. So I learned very early in my life
Right.
how great companies treat their employees. And that was a great starting point for me. And it's also a very serious, software engineering company as well. So I learned good software engineering practices. But Ashwini, pretty transparently with you, I think most software engineers won't say this. I was bored. I could not code for long periods of time. And so I had to talk to customers, I had to talk to people. And gradually I realized engineering was actually not my core strength, or where I really belong, because of an out and out extrovert, if you may. But I'll tell you, actually, the biggest learnings I had, to be fair with you, are not at work. While I was working at NI, I started the NI football team, and I also started a band called Omkara. And NI Eagles, the NI Eagles team, which was the NI official team, I was the captain for the team. 14 countries represented in it, people from Germany, Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, South Africa. Amazing experience, right? You got 15 countries represented in 22 players. And we started at Division 6, which is the bottom division. In 7 years, we were at Premier Division, which is the highest. And it was not because I was a good player. I had much better players, right? And I learned in those 6 years, how do you manage people who are way better than you? So the football team taught me a lot of, a lot of things there in terms of leadership. And, if you think about a band, great band, we made great music. We toured all of US. We did a lot of music all over the country, but it was a very dysfunctional band.
This was
And
Omkara, right,
this
Anand?
is Omkara. This is
Right.
Omkara. And, I learned how to manage a very dysfunctional culture. And I also realized that, at some point during your journey in a leadership, stint, you really cannot achieve greatness if you don't have the right culture set up in your organization. And so one thing I do encourage a lot of people is, find your hobbies and try to go, very deep and try to learn how to manage those hobbies as well, whether that's community service, whether it's something else. I think you learn a lot of leadership lessons when you manage volunteers who really have no reason to be there other than passion.
Passion.
You
True.
have no authority. And if you can learn to actually manage people without authority, in my mind, you have scaled some higher levels of leadership.
So would it be right to say, Anand, this is your secret to success? You have been a great performer and leader in your career, but the instances that you're citing is one of the reasons for you to take the lead and be there where you are today.
I think, Ashwini, well said. I think there are two parts, right? One is my very humble beginnings, right? And I don't take things for granted. I respect people's viewpoint no matter where it comes from. So that's definitely one part because of my very early childhood. And I think the second is just understanding how to manage volunteer organizations, right? It just taught me how to manage people, even if they don't think of you as their boss, right? And frankly, I think I tell my leaders all the time, right? If you strip your leadership title away, do you feel your people will still follow you? And if the answer is, I don't know, then you should really do some soul searching, because then you're not quite the leader that you want to be, right? But, career-wise, after that, I moved to Dell, then I moved to Rackspace. And I think I'll cut that part a little shorter. I realized, look, I am an extrovert. I love talking to customers. I like to solve problems. And so very gradually, my path moved from engineering to product management. And during that stint, I learned a lot of very, very tough lessons. There were two absolutely amazing mentors I had during that time. One was Brian Plunkett. He was a serial entrepreneur, senior director at HP Compaq, who had actually semi-retired, but decided that he just wanted to continue to work because of his interest. So I was lucky that I had him as a manager, and he just taught me everything about structured leadership, how to deal with people. I took 6 months off and then went to Rackspace, which was a cloud company, worked there for a while.
You explored music production during that phase. You took on advanced swimming courses, if I'm not wrong, so.
Well, advanced swimming on paper, yes. Unfortunately, I still sink like a rock down. I'm not a great swimmer at all. It's something that unfortunately I'm not good at, but I tried. Let me put it that way. But yes, my father had taught me that, if you need to take a break, you take a break, right? I mean, he had left his job and come to a farm and lived his life there. So for me, taking a break or moving away from work is not a big deal. In fact, I think people should do that, right? Every 5 to 10 years, you have to take a break and regroup and understand where are you, where do you want to go in life? What do you want to do that really will, get you excited? Because honestly, we're spending so much time doing our work. If you're not passionate and you don't enjoy what you're doing, you have to take a break and reconsider. And that's what I did. And I was very clear that I wanted to be somewhere where I could really. Yeah. It does refresh you, and it gives you clarity of thought, which is, I think, very important. Worked out well. I came back to Simplilearn, and my growth at Simplilearn has been pretty gradual. I managed the platform first, the software platform, and then I moved into the curriculum and then the operations and delivery side as well. And through that time, maybe at a very high level, what has happened is, because I have worked at Rackspace at NI, who are top 50 companies, for culture. I've been able to bring those ethos into Simplilearn. And today I would say that one of the strongest things about Simplilearn is the culture that we built here.
Could you touch upon the Dhwani Austin project, Anand? So that's something that you started a decade back, right?
Right. So I think, Ashwini, I told you, every startup fails at some point of time, and then you learn from it and get better. While Omkara was a great success, from a giving to the community perspective, we performed in front of 3,000, 5,000 people, right? It was a failure from an organizational perspective. And so we built Dhwani after that, which is again a charity band. And, there were two things we decided. We would work as a team. We would have a great culture. We would actually hang out as friends. And we were friends, right? And so we wanted to make sure that our friendship came above music in a lot of ways, which was a good thing. So the culture was great. And the second thing we did was actually to focus on creating original music. So we wanted to compose. We wanted to create new music, new sounds, new capabilities. And so for about 6 years, I managed Dhwani alongside my teammates. And I think we composed about 10 original singles in that time. And we performed on radio. We performed in various stages at the time. Fun times. But, at some point in time, when I moved to India, unfortunately, I had to let go of Dhwani. We had done about, I would say, 15 charities by then. Typically we perform for free. And the idea was donate for a great cause, right? And so Dhwani had contributed in a lot of ways to a lot of charities at the time. But, Dhwani, I look at it as a second startup in a lot of ways. A lot of people do their first startup, they have massive failures and then do the second one. And they learn from that first failure and they improve it. Dhwani was a big success from that perspective. It was a tight team. We did really good music, in my view. And we are still friends today, right? We still exchange music. We still compose together.
As a leader in the education management space, what are your go-to educational resources? For example, do you have any favorite books that you look up to, or any podcasts that you listen, or something of that sort?
Yeah, so Ashwini, I think, frankly, one of the resources I've found very, very helpful is an app called Blinkist. And, seems like something that seems like an Instagram advertisement that people just say, hey, use Blinkist, right? But it actually works. What Blinkist does is really summarize great business books in 20 pages or less. And quite transparently, with such little time available, what I do is I actually read the book summaries quite a lot of times. And then if I really like the book summaries, then I buy the book and actually read the whole book, right? So Blinkist has been a huge part of what I do. The second resource, of course, is, and I think that's true for most people, go to YouTube and make sure that you watch some of the TED Talks that are out there. Look at some of the big, people leaders that are out there and product leaders that are out there that, talk about various things. Of course, one aspect that is also true is I speak to a lot of my peers. Doesn't matter if they're competitors or they are in a different industry, right? So you find that you learn a lot from other people who have solved other problems. And I'm lucky enough to have friends who are, in various roles in various companies, and they're very open with their feedback. And they tell me, when I run into a problem, I just say, hey, how would you solve that? And I find that these discussions tend to yield very good answers from people who are completely disconnected from your business.
Anything that you've missed out in this professional journey, Anand, any regrets or something that you wanted to do and, you couldn't, or you've planned it maybe for future?
Ashwini, and this is going to sound very, not a great answer to your question, but I'm not the kind of person who regrets things. And I'll tell you, look, if I look at my childhood, I had a very tough childhood. Like I said, 2.5 hours of commute, and I went through. My father passed away when I was in ninth. I had to deal with a lot of things. But I will also say that it's easy to say that there was I would rather not have gone through that. But there's another aspect of it which I believe that every single event in your life is there for a reason, and you'd learn something out of it. And there are so many paths my life could have taken, but very transparently, Ashwini, at the end of the day, if you're doing what you like and you're having fun doing it, you made all the right choices, and the rest doesn't really matter.
If not the chief product officer at Simplilearn, what other career would you have chosen?
Wow. Truth be told, Ashwini, I would potentially start a charity. I would probably, and I don't know what a charity exactly, and frankly, I've run charities all my career, right, on the side of my work. But I would potentially be more involved in community service and charity. Potentially the most likely job that I would do is to teach for free.
Thank you, Anand. It has really been great speaking with you. I've found a lot of energy and conviction in this conversation with you. So I hope our viewers find the same. All the best for Simplilearn and the passion that you have for music.
Ashwini, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope our viewers find something useful here in what I just said. Thank you.
Right. That was Anand Narayanan, Chief Product Officer at Simplilearn in this episode. We will see you soon with another story in the series of Cutting Chai Conversations. Thank you.